All right, so this week was pivotal for India and US. This as Prime Minister Modi and US President Trump had a telephone conversation on Thursday. The timing of this call is important as it arrived on day 2 of the India-US trade talks. Both sides are yet to clinch a trade deal, and the negotiations believe the last mile push to make the deal happen is now up to both the leaders. Agro issues, remember, are a key sticking point between both negotiating teams. But Prime Minister Modi, in his post on X, has mentioned that both leaders reviewed the entire gamut of the Indo-US strategic partnership. This included critical technologies, defense and energy as well.
I can only say that negotiations are progressing well. We've had substantive discussions over several rounds of negotiations. In the past, I think 5 rounds have happened. But I've often said on record that a deal is only done when both sides stand to benefit. And I don't think we should ever negotiate with deadlines or hard stops, because you tend to make mistakes then.
Unless he changes course, Trump will be the American president that lost India, or more accurately, that chased India away. That is not a legacy any president should be excited about having. Singling out India for 50% tariffs, one of the highest rates imposed on any country, has effectively derailed leader-level meetings between our two countries. There have been real strategic costs to this protracted trade negotiation. And beyond tariffs, Trump has also attacked the people-to-people ties between the U.S. and India.
Now, the Modi-Trump phone call came days after Donald Trump's threat on rice. Remember, he's accused India of dumping rice in the US market. Will Trump's threat really matter to India? Let's quickly have a look at these numbers and also fact-check Trump, because as far as this allegation of India rice dumping in the US markets is concerned, that is not going to cut ice with India. India produces nearly 150 million metric tons of rice, amounting for 28% of total global share. China follows India with 27% of total global share, followed by Bangladesh, Indonesia, and then Vietnam. And US, remember, is only one of the top 5 markets that India actually exports rice to. So that allegation that it is India dumping rice in the US markets holds no merit. But let's try and get in some perspective in terms of where are the India-US trade talks headed. And for that, let me introduce my guests today. I'm joined in by Raymond Vickery, who's an author and advisor on US-India relations, also a former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce Trade Development. Many thanks to you, Mr. Vickery, for joining in. Also joined in by Manpreet Singh, who's the president of the Indian Chamber of International Business. Many thanks to you, Manpreet, for joining in. If I could begin with Mr. Vickery first, what, in your viewpoint, are the potential roadblocks here this time around as the 6th round of trade talks took place between India and US?
Well, thanks very much for allowing me to comment. I think the basic roadblock here is President Trump. President Trump has had before him the deal really several times, which is really acceptable to both sides in terms of the basics. But Donald Trump is trying to determine what's in his best interest as a transactional person in regard to this trade deal. In my view, that shouldn't be the approach at all. If you're going to wage peace and prosperity, you have to do it like war. You have to have a strategy. You have to have partners, you have to have principles, and you need to look at more than just who comes out on top of a particular transaction. Right now, things seem to be lining up to get some sort of a deal out of this. President Trump has had this excellent conversation with Prime Minister Modi, but we've come to this point several times in the past. In Trump 1.0, we almost had a free trade deal. And Prime Minister Modi back in April, when he met with President Trump, thought we were close to a deal. Now, fortunately, India hasn't been willing to bend the knee and panic like other countries have. And hopefully there will be a deal which will contribute to long-term peace and prosperity.
All right, Manpreet, remember the charge coming in from the US President of India dumping rice in US markets has arrived at a very critical juncture. It's also been a bit unsettling. Would you like to share what are the facts on ground? Also, when we talk about our own agricultural products that have become a moot point of attack from the US in these trade negotiations, will India be able to protect its own interests of the farmers and MSMEs?
But we definitely would be protecting because our country comes first. And this government knows that for sure. And let it be agriculture because it is protecting the farmer. The farmer is not concentrated in certain towns and cities. It is all over the country. It goes right up to the grassroots. And that would really affect the entire country. So yes, we would be protecting our rights to agriculture. That being said, when we talk about market access and parity and open markets, I think India is one of the most level playing field that people have kind of ignored. Because when we talk about the US and India, for example, if we were not a level playing field, if we did not allow agriculture product, how do you think the American or Californian apples have been here since decades? We haven't really thought about that. So when you talk about such things that, oh, it's a closed market, people don't give it access and all, forget that. Look at California almonds. I mean, we have American almonds in India since a really long time. And now they're pushing a lot of pistachio and a lot of other products. If it was not possible, how that India was tough market, it was difficult to access, how do you think these products would have entered? These are all American products, very much selling agricultural products in the Indian market. But yes, they are premium markets, premium products, definitely. What they want to push is basically things like corn and soya, where we are ourselves self-sufficient. Now, I would call this dumping because they have so much of it as excess. They don't know what to do with it. They want to dump it in India. So that is what is called dumping and not the other way around. Coming to the point of rice, when we say that, okay, as they accuse that India is dumping rice, well, there are two things. One, Indian basmati is premium. It is not like a mass market product. Most of the world. When we talk about exports of basmati, we are not dumping it. It is not our largest market. It is not our only market. We are selling it to the whole world. And not only that, when we talk about that, we are selling it at higher prices as compared to our domestic prices. And that has been highlighted by the exporters themselves in the last 2 days. So when we talk about dumping, well, my friends in America, you've got it all wrong. You have forgotten the definition of dumping and you're using it the other way around.
All right, Mr. Vikri, now Democrats like Ms. Dove have already started highlighting the US hypocrisy over here, especially when it comes to the additional penalty which was slapped on India as far as those 25% tariff is concerned for trading with Russia. Because Ms. Dove has said that why is Steve Witkoff striking deals with Russia through back channel talks and they are selling Ukraine. So do you really see the additional penalty being slapped on India because of the war in Russia, or is this just a way to have India come to terms with the US as far as the trade talks are concerned?
I think the representative is right. Unfortunately, we've moved from a period over the last 30 years of improving a natural partnership between India and the U.S. To one of transactions. And the H-1B visas, the so-called liberation or reciprocal tariffs, the sanction tariffs in regard to Russia, the claiming of getting a peace deal with Pakistan through his efforts. All of those factors have contributed to the derailing of what was a straight upward trajectory in the relationship between these natural allies. So I think it's exactly right. Now, I believe also, though, that there are saner heads on both the Indian and the U.S. side that see this as a long-term relationship, in which President Trump and his approach is really an impediment to be worked around until we can get back to where we were before. Unfortunately, there are people on both the Indian and U.S. side who are willing to
Okay.
go along with this
Okay.
kind of transactional approach.
So, Manpreet, if I may come to you, it is a fact that the United States has been the largest market for India. And even though India is trying to diversify its markets, whether it is Russia, the global south, or even Africa, we are looking towards newer markets. Do you think this diversification will be able to sort of fill in the void that currently has been created through the tariffs with the United States?
Of course, and definitely, I would say, see, we Indians and we exporters, to be very honest, keep forgetting that there are 200 countries in the world. And it used to be a time when US used to be the dominant trade partner, and the reason being it had a evolved market, it had an evolved retail system, distribution system. Now half of the world has come to that level, and we have better. Look at India. I mean, the organized retail that we have, the online sales that we have. Look at the other countries, look at Europe, look at South America, and how the ecosystem has evolved. So, of course, India's basket would diversify, whatever said and done. And I think it is time that we need to look at diversification of markets. And as exporters, as traders, as businessmen, we really need to reach out to the global
Okay.
south, as Prime Minister Modi has said. And these are the markets that need to evolve. Look at Southeast Asia. I mean, we haven't even touched a large part of Southeast
True.
Asia. Forget South America. Africa has been our market, but we haven't really grown so much that we could have. There's so much buying power in Africa itself. So definitely that would go up.
Many thanks to you, Manpreet and Raymond Vickery, for joining in on World 360. Thoroughly appreciate your insights.